All right, here we go. Got a few things to show y'all. I think you'll like some of them. We're going to look at macro, and then I'm going to go through how I find like overbought coins or oversold coins, things that are ready to take off. You can use margin on it or, whatever. That's what I do. Get a quick profit, get out, or you can just do a position trade or a spot trade. That's fine too. I'll show you what I'm talking about on that here in a second. First, I want to start out by giving a shout out to this gentleman right here, Mr. Crypto Mentor 99. You can see he's got a face for YouTube. I actually put that down here. Good to see your smiling face, even through a tough time. He had a little hack situation, but he did a video shortly after, said he had never even considered quitting just because he got hacked. I mean, I've been hacked before too. I think most of us have probably been through it, and that's just the nature of the game. You just got to be careful with it. There's plenty of alternative options if you feel like your exchange is not a good one. If you're concerned that other people got hacked, that sort of thing. Caleb and Brown is one that I feel is a really strong option. It's kind of a throwback. You're using a broker that you have to contact through email. They do have some nice upgrades that they've made recently, and they're continuing to improve their platform. But it's not your typical exchange where you can just go on there and do a buy or sell order really quickly. Although right now I think they have it to where you can do. Yeah, I think that you can do it kind of like a DEX right now. Like if you were to log into MetaMask or something, they have a similar function to that. But I'm sure they'll continue. I mean, the service is great. But if any of you decide to sign up through them, let me know. You can either message me or leave a comment below, and I'll let you know how to get a lower fee with them. You can use the same broker I'm using. So anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to him. I mean, he's been, such a vital part of the group that I've been in for a long time. I met him a long time ago, probably like in late 2019. And, he's a positive influence in the space, and there's very few of those. And I know a lot of you, he's got almost 16K subscribers and gives some really good advice, gives some really good life advice, particularly. And that's one of the reasons that I subscribe to his channel and listen to all his videos when I have time. He's got some things here. Financial planning isn't optional. That's some of his more popular videos here. Yeah, he did a thing 5 years ago about Digibyte, talking about when XRP price will skyrocket. So these are some of the things that you can expect from him from time to time. Right now, of course, there's not much going on with the market. It's kind of up and down, but once we get back into the bull market, you'll see a lot of these videos from him. And he has done some like that recently. I forgot what it was. There was one. Oh, he was talking about Bitcoin and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into this. You can find him at Crypto Mentor 99 or just search it on YouTube. All right, so this is the next thing I want to show you, and I might circle back around to this. I'm going to show you how I screen for coins using this platform. And this is a paid platform. I think that you do have a little bit of functionality with a free account, but if you're really serious about trading and want to make some money, then you've got to have something like this to find coins that are ready to move. But first, let's start with this. Like I said, I'll come back to that here in a second. I'll show you in real time how I find coins that are ready to move. So this is a chart that I personally made. You won't find this anywhere, I don't believe. I personally made this about the middle of last year, a little bit later in the year maybe. And this is based on presidential election dates and midterms. And you can see how there's a lot of correlation here. What I wanted to show is when to expect the breakout. You don't really have to look at it in terms of the crypto halving, of Bitcoin halving, because we don't really know what that is anyway. I'm not certain that actually creates, less Bitcoin in the space. We don't know who controls Bitcoin, so we have to look at things at our own angle. And this is my angle here. This is the way I look at it. See if I can center this better. Okay. All this is RSI. And when it's red up here, that's overbought. When it gets blue down here, these blue areas, that's oversold. So good time to sell up here, good time to buy down here. This is 2012 to 2013 bull run here. So the yellow line is the start of the bull run, and the arrow is the end of the bull run, basically. And when I say the start of the bull run, I mean where it breaks out from the previous resistance from the previous bull run. And so if we just follow this along here, this was the breakdown at the 2012 midterms, and it broke down about 50%, and then it found a bottom. And then this yellow line represents the presidential election date of 2016, when the president was actually announced after all the voting took place. And that was the breakout date. And so from that point to the next arrow is the bull run. And then this was the next breakdown at 2016 midterm. So basically, sometime around midterms, you find your bottom. And this doesn't take into account, by the way, any recession, because Bitcoin has never been through a recession. Bitcoin was started in 2011. And if you remember, 2007 to 2009 was your recession date, or not date, but your recession years. And then eventually Obama, at the start of 2009, I believe it was, he infused a bunch of cash, and that's what got the market going again. So that's my only caveat to this currently is we don't know how this is going to affect Bitcoin if the Fed puts us in a recession. And we don't know that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that that's one of the macro possibilities that we have to consider. And by the way, these lines and stuff back here, we're just representing kind of an uptrend resistance for RSI, and then it finally broke through it, and then it found a bottom, and then this ended up being the support moving up, and then it turned to resistance here. At these tops, that's where these arrows are lining up here. And that's one thing I wanted to point out that I didn't mention is the point from this breakdown at the very top of the peak here to the next bottom, and this is assuming there's no recession that's going to affect this, it typically took about 420 days. Here it took 406, but here was another 420. And what I did was last year, I plotted this out. So I think, let me see here where I was. What date was this? Cool. I want to say, I don't really remember when I created this chart, but it was somewhere around here. Probably October, maybe, something like that. And I was thinking, okay, if this one took 420, then that's what I'm going to put here. I'm going to see if our next bottom is about 420 days. And so it played out, and it finally broke out of this, all of this consolidation here. It finally broke out of this oversold period and stayed above this line. And that's when we found our bottom. And I was a little bit off, because you can see right here, I said approximately 400 to 420 days, top to bottom, would equal January 23rd, 2023 would be the quarter one bottom. And that's basically how it played out. I mean, if you were to step this back to, I actually said 400 to 420 days. So if you step this back to 406 like it was here, then that's exactly the bottom. And that's right before it took off. So technically this was correct. And that's why I wanted to point this chart out, is because I think I have this shared. Yeah, I have this shared, and I'll put it in the comments after I get done recording this, to where if you want to copy this and keep it on your screen, or prepared for next time you turn on your computer, you can keep this and keep an eye on it, and then you'll know approximately when the next when the next top is failing. I mean, currently we did have an overbought area, and that's why we're seeing a lot of resistance right here, because RSI is coming down. But it could find, you can see back here, after this took place and it found its bottom and it worked its way up, it took this one a long time to get to its first overbought area here in the red, but this one happened quickly. So I would say this one here in 2019 is probably more similar to what we're doing right here. So we're getting a pretty good move up, and now it's coming back down. So who knows? I'm not sure if we're going to come back down and get into oversold territory first before we move back up, or if it'll just find something like this. Maybe it'll do something like this where it finds support here and then goes back up, or it comes down here. So we don't really know where the support line is just yet. We got to let it play out. What we do know is that it found a temporary bottom and it was correct. This chart actually found the next bottom based on time, based on midterms, based on presidential election dates, that sort of thing. So our next breakout, according to this chart, if it stays correct, and it has been so far, is in 2024, and that would be on or about November 4th, 2024. So if we see it get above this line after this date, shortly after that, then we know that this chart is still correct. And from a macro standpoint, you can use that. All right, the next thing I want to look at is the Fed funds rate, how it's affected Bitcoin in the past. Here we are from, well, I'll put it this way. Whenever the Fed funds rate is at zero or close to zero, the market goes crazy because everybody has a lot of funds. Nobody's having to deal with a lot of inflation, that sort of thing. And you can see right here, actually here in 2015, as the Fed rate was going up, the bull market was taking place at the same time. But there became a point around 4%. I think that's right. Is this thing showing me right? Regular. Oh, here it is right here. 2%. What is this? 1.5%. So once it hit 1.5% in 2019, 2017, 2018, right in there, that's when the market started coming back down. So it seems to me, historically anyway, when the Fed rate is at 2% or lower, somewhere in there, the market tends to do pretty well. But if it gets anything above that, then you're in trouble. The market's not looking so hot. And currently we're at 5.25. I guess that's a bad example because even here we were at 0.25 for a long time, and then it just shot up out of nowhere. But even when it started moving up, we were still near the high. So we were at a 0.5 rate at that point, and back here it was at 1.5. But here's the thing to know in the future. And this thing down here, by the way, is just showing you money flow and divergences. That's why I have it up. It's Market Cipher is the name of it. I like to keep an eye on, if there's positive money flow or negative, and currently there's negative money flow, which makes sense with the way the Fed rates are currently. So once we get to a point where the Fed rate is paused and prepares to start coming back down, and QE starts again, and the Fed starts injecting a bunch of money into the market again, that's when we'll start getting a real move, which is basically what happened here. They paused. You had an initial move up during the pause because people were excited about it. And then it started coming down. But for some reason, the market started coming down with it. So I think that's something we have to be aware of. We may get some bullishness when we pause, and we're not paused yet. It hasn't flattened out up here. You can see the orange line here has pretty much gone up in a straight line for a long time, ever since April 2022. But once we really start falling off the cliff with a Fed rate, that's when things get bullish again. And this was March 2020. So I would still expect some kind of whatever you want to call it, some kind of big crash, some kind of event that's going to cause people to exit their positions and capitulate and get fearful, that sort of thing, because it just hasn't happened yet. Back here we had from the bottom to the top of this move, when we did pause, that was about a 3x move on Bitcoin. currently we've done about 90. No, it's about a 2x right here. About 100% move from the bottom. I'm still seeing bearish divergences here. I'm still seeing negative money flow. VWAP is still coming down. What else do I see there? If we step back to like a 2-day, yeah, money flow is still coming out of it there. Money flow is going to the red on the daily. 7-day. Well, we already looked at the weekly, didn't we? Yeah, so momentum's coming out. These little hills are momentum. Momentum still coming out of the market. It could be kind of curling and flattening out a little bit on the momentum so it can come back up, possibly. There's not enough there to really know. And here's a good example. When I talk about money flow, you can see it went from red to green right here. And there was still a dip after that, a big crash in March. But shortly after that, you started seeing green come back in. And same thing back here. That's what you want to see is positive money flow to feel like the market is starting to get bullish, macro bullish again for a big bull run. And that kind of goes back to this chart. Really we're looking for the breakout to feel confident. Okay, let me see if I can get this thing off the chart or the page. I wanted to show you this Fed funds rate monitor tool. Basically, this is people, market makers or whoever betting on what the what the Fed rate is going to do in the future. And currently, here in just a few days, here on the 5th, or sorry, 5 days from now on the 14th, 72% of people are expecting a 5 to a 5.25 Fed rate. And so that's basically a pause is what people are expecting, but there's still 30% chance down here that it could go to 5.5. And I don't think the market would like that very much. If there's a pause, if it stays at 5.25, that could get us bullish again. But I don't know. I mean, it's basically 70-30 is what you're looking at. And then if you move up here to July 26th, so far, people are expecting another rate hike. Well, I take that back. It could be at 5.25. So either it pauses still or it moves up to 5.5. So there's a 50% chance that happens. Same thing, September 20th. And these are all the FOMC meetings. Yeah, so that's either a pause or a move up to 5.5. And then you got, okay, so this is the first month right here where there's a big change where people are saying, okay, it could go to 5.5 at the worst, but now they're saying at the worst here, it could go to 5.25. So if I'm a betting person and I'm thinking, what's the best chance of a pause or it coming down, that would be November 1st. And I know a lot of people are looking to October, November as the next bottom for the market, if another crash is going to happen. And currently we may be in one, and we'll get into that here in just a second. I'm trying to speed through this as fast as I can. I don't like to make these long. Same thing here, December. It's looking like a pause or it coming down. And then finally, January 31st, 2024, the first quarter, first month of the first quarter of 2024, we're seeing that most of the people voting on this are saying which way it's going to go. It'll be the first time that it would get under 5, and that would be very significant. Because if we go back here, when it starts finally, dropping pretty good, either you're going to have another dip or it's going to start going up more. And that would put us, so this is November 2024. So let's just see what November 2024 says. Let's skip ahead. That's my historical chart. Okay. Yeah, I mean, see how significant that is? By November 2024, people are expecting it to be down to 3.5, 3.75. And at that point, unemployment would have already peaked. And, maybe it would start coming down. People would be finding jobs again. Because those two things are correlated, by the way. I don't want to get into that. There's a lot of charts that'll show that. But in 2007 to 2009, when the S&P 500 and some other markets were experiencing the recession, you would see a point where it had a bear flag and then it just crashed real hard. And that's what you would experience in a recession. So either we're going to experience something like that, and then finally by November 2024, when the presidential election happens, things will be looking real good at that point, because the Fed rate will be way down from what it was at 5.5 or 5.25, and it will continue to drop. And all this is speculation. I mean, nobody really knows what the rate's going to be, but the probability says that it would be somewhere either at 4 or less based on these numbers. So we'll see. Maybe it'll work out that way. And this is what I'm talking about historically. This is what happened in 2007 to 2009. The Fed rate dropped significantly after a plateau here. And strangely enough, the Fed rate was the same back then. It was 5.25. It plateaued for a couple of months, actually quite a few months. It kind of bounced around for a while, but it took it about 8 months or so. And then it came down hard, the Fed rate did. And then once it finally found its bottom, that's when it took off. The market took off again. And that's exactly what happened here. I mean, if you want to talk about something more recent, here's 2019, before the March 20, or the, whenever that was, March 2020. I can't remember the date that the crash happened. But then, the Fed rate started coming down first. And that was just shortly after the market pushed up a little bit after the first bottom of 2019 for Bitcoin. And then it plateaued a little bit more at 1.5, and then it dropped real hard. And right there where it dropped real hard, I guess March 23, 2020 is when the crash happened for COVID. And, when we got this flat line right here, that's when the market just went crazy. And then right at the end of that, about October and November, when the Fed rate started skyrocketing again, that's when the top of the market hit. So just remember this in the future. When you're flat, after the Fed rate comes all the way down and it gets flat down here, somewhere between 0 and 0.5, your market's going to do great, because the Fed is injecting a bunch of liquidity into the market, and people have more funds available to spend frivolously. And so the exact same thing happened in 2020, 2021, and then it took off. Fed rate took off again, and that's when the top of the market happened. So these are periods when you can make a lot of money. Just remember that. All right, so let's look at the near term real quick, and then I'll finish up with the showing how to find a coin. Back here, before anything happened on Bitcoin, I was looking at this and I was saying, okay, here's our short-term uptrend support. Here's our one resistance line. Here's a support line. Here's a support line. And then these are also this long-term downtrend resistance, which you can see we've been bouncing off of it for a long time. And this is a long-term uptrend support right here. So this is also a support line we can consider. And here's one way down here that would be our double bottom if Bitcoin was to make it all the way back down to here. You can kind of see a head and shoulders start to play out. Here's a shoulder, here's a head. Is it going to do that? Possibly. Maybe it comes down here, comes up for another fake out, and then finds support here, and then it finally breaks out. And this could take a while to play out. That's one thing I just see jumping off the page immediately. But initially I was looking for, okay, if it breaks above this arrow right here, then we're bullish again. But until that happens, it's not bullish at all. It's just going sideways, or it's coming down some more. So you've got a temporary short-term support right here that's kind of weak. It's not a great support line. It could fall through it. And then you got a pretty strong one here. And then this one's real strong down here because it hasn't been touched yet. And you could say that there's another, maybe there's another line here somewhere. Who knows? It may turn out that something right in here was another support line, just because of that wick and how this projects out. But I don't know that for sure until we actually see it. And then this line here, originally I had an arrow pointing to it saying if we couldn't get back above it and stay, that we're going to reject and come down further. So I would say anywhere from 23 to 24.5 is probably a good place to take a stab at a long, and then, set your stop loss somewhere down here. Not saying it's going to hold it. We just got to see what happens, but there is some support there from the past. And this was obviously a inverted head and shoulders that played out. So if that inverted head and shoulders is going to play out, then why wouldn't this head and shoulders play out as well? So I'm kind of figuring maybe we just get a bounce there like that, and then it comes back down, something like that. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we progress with price action over the coming months. Yeah, so not really much to say there. As far as we were to look at money flow, that sort of thing, I think money flow is going into the red, so there's nothing to get bullish about currently. There were some definite shorting possibilities here. If you get back up here and it rejects again, if it looks like it's rejecting, that would be another good shorting possibility. I can share this chart too if we need to. If anybody wants it, just say down in the comments, and get involved down in the comments too. If there's coins you want to see, let me know. We'll look at them. Speaking of which, I need to look back at a video. I think there was a Matic request, and I'm pretty sure I provided it for him. But anyway, go if you don't have access, or if you're not subscribed to my Twitter, sometimes I'll post. This is usually where I post most of my trades that I do. Like for example, well, here was a Ren breakout that you could have played. There were some more down here like this. What coin was this? XDC maybe? Yeah. So I'll post these from time to time, but this ended up being a real good play, support resistance. It was hitting resistance, good place to set a trade. And then you just set your stop loss real tight. You wouldn't lose much money if it didn't work out. So that's just another way to keep track of things that I'm doing. I don't really care if you follow me. I don't care if you share it with other people. It just doesn't matter to me. I do this to try to help people. If you're interested in being helped, then do whatever you want with it. Share it with your friends if you want them to be helped as well. But if you find value, then go ahead and hit the like button. Like I said, I'm not in this to get famous. I'm not in this to get a bunch of likes and followers. I just don't care about that. If there's somebody out there that finds value in this, great. I'm glad it's working out for you. But as I have time, I am a very busy person. As I have time, I'll do videos and I'll provide as much help as I can for anybody that's seeking it. And getting into, speaking of that, we're going to get into this real quick, and I'm going to try to fly through it as fast as I can. The name of the website is altfins.com. You do have to have a subscription to be able to see the many things that I'm able to see here. But they do some cool things, like they've got this BCH chart right here where they're showing, some really good technical analysis, showing you support zones, showing you the resistance zones. It's a descending triangle. Obviously, if it comes down here, be a good place to buy and set your tight stop loss there. If you get a breakout above here, then it's probably a good place to put some money in, because it might be coming up to this resistance area, and then that would be a take profit. There's a lot of ways you can play it, but the coolest thing to me is you can go in here and you can look at chart patterns. You can sort it by exchange. But anyway, that's enough about that. You can go on YouTube and look to see how to do all that. What I want to show you is, let me find it here. Okay, so let's say you're looking for a long opportunity and you're wanting to see it on the hourly chart. Currently, here's a fresh momentum MACD signal line crossover showing a buy signal. So if I open up that one, okay, if I open up that one, first one that comes up, and I do these based on market cap. I don't want to play anything that's a really small coin. So, the market cap has to be over 5 million in this case for this filter that I'm looking at. So if we click on this one for linear finance, which it had a pretty deep drop recently. Does it show it on this? I think they've got an indicator showing the MACD crossover, but it's not showing up here. MACD, where's that at? There it is. Yeah. So it's showing a buy signal here. It showed one back here too, but the price action is just going sideways. If I was to bring this up on my own, I'll just show you how I'd normally do it. I don't really go by their signals. I'd look at money flow. I mean, money flow is so important. And by the way, I know Market Cipher is a paid indicator. So if you want I've talked about this one before. If you want one that is not paid, but is just as good as Market Cipher, I mean, Market Cipher does a couple things better, but this one's a real good one. It's called Fu Manchu Cipher B plus divergences. And I think they have a paid thing too, but this is good enough. It'll show you the bullish divergences. It'll show you the money flow. And this is just a free one for you. So, if you want to be able to see something like that, like money flow and all that, then, that's what you'd look at. But you can see, I mean, look, money flow was peaked right here and it came way down. It just tapered off and then it switched to red. I mean, you can see clearly it's losing momentum here and you've got a bunch of divergences coming down like that. And then that's what a bearish divergence is, right? You got money coming up or a price action coming up, but at the same time, you got momentum coming down and you got money flow coming down. So, I mean, you could have even taken this trade late, after you saw it going into the red here and still made a lot of money off this one. And then similarly, here's your price action. Trying to find a good one here, sorry. You could take this one back here. Here's your price action coming down, but here's your momentum coming up and your money flow coming up into the green. This one's not quite as good. It's kind of flat, but your money flow and your momentum was coming up and then it went into green. So once you start getting pretty deep into the green, you know that you're bullish. And that's the way I would play that. So first I would start off, I might start off on like a daily chart first. Look at something like that. Okay, I just want to see what the feel of the coin is currently, where some horizontal supports are, like there. It could come down to here still before it bounces. There's probably another one there. Yeah, there's another one about right there. So I'd say anywhere in this zone would probably be a good buy. Although it did have a big, well, VWAP is coming up. And then you just kind of start working down from there, from the daily chart. And you could even start on the weekly or something if it's a coin that's been around for a long time. But, money flow is kind of weak there. It's not great. You're into red money flow there. So if you were playing this off the 4-hour chart, your money flow hasn't started tapering back off yet. So, from a 4-hour perspective, I wouldn't touch this. And the way you have to think about that is, okay, if you're a busy person and you can't be making trades all day, that a 4-hour chart takes a lot longer to play out. So like if you looked at, like say if you took a short up here somewhere when this broke down and you're just now taking your profit, that took 6 days. But if you played a move like this on a 15-minute chart, I mean, that could take an hour or something. So it really just depends on how much time you have to devote to looking at charts. And the way that you figure out which time frame is best for you, like the 2 time frames that you want to pair, trying to remember how it goes. I think you want to divide by 10. So like if you're looking at a daily chart to kind of start determining if you're ready to enter something, and then go down to your next chart to find the best entry on a lower time frame. We'll see if a daily, okay, if that's 24 hours, then divide it by 10. I guess you could say that's 24 minutes. I don't know. Let's see. No, probably not. What's 10% of 24? Wow, I'm bad at math. What is going on? 2.4. Yeah, so you go down like a 2 or 3 hour chart. That's right. Sorry. It's pretty bad. I went to a small school. Yeah, so if you go down to a 3 hour chart, money flow really hasn't started tapering back. I mean, you want to see for me, I'd want to see this, at least starting to come back into this area where you can really see the momentum starting to come back into the coin, and not much chance of money flow just ballooning back on you. If we look at the 2 hour, I mean, that's better right there, right? 2 hour looks much better. Oops. I think that looks a lot better there, but I would probably still give it a little more time. I mean, this is actually a buy signal here because that is a bullish divergence, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, it is. So if you take this price action, it's coming down while your momentum's coming up. It's not a bad one. I mean, I think you're in the buy zone here, but I would leave some room to expect that, there could be another dip on it. I would wait on this one, honestly. I probably wouldn't play it personally, but that's not to say, I mean, it could just take off. Like if y'all have seen me use engineering robo before, which is a very good indicator as well. Like if you just want something that's foolproof almost, I mean, you could play this thing on a 3 hour chart and only enter when you got 2 buy or 2 sell signals. And I mean, you're pretty much golden. You're going to get some sideways action where you're going to take small losses sometimes. But I mean, the thing is really nice. You can play it on a daily chart, 3 hour chart. You can go down to a 45-minute chart, but you really need to understand how to use it effectively. And you still have to use your support resistance lines. Like right here, you can see it rejected off that line right there. I mean, that's a perfect entry. You could have put a little bit in there. When these 2 sell signals happen, put a little in there, but you don't have to have this because, if you understand how to draw trend lines and things like that, this is what you would have seen. You would have had a full candle close under this trend line, and that's also a sell signal. And then on the flip side, this is a buy signal when you get a full candle close above that. And there's bullish divergences, bearish divergences. There's a lot of things you can look at. You just got to decide what method makes the most sense to you, which one you enjoy the most, how much time you actually have to devote to looking at charts each day. I mean, if you want to be successful and make a lot of money with charts, you have to look at them, 1 to 4 hours a day or something like that. You can't just expect it to be easy. Although I will say, if you use something like engineering robo, sometimes you're going to get a really good entry and make a lot of money off of it. But you still have to understand a lot about, I mean, even this free one, divergence for many indicators, V4, I've mentioned this one so many times, and it does a very good job as well at finding tops and sometimes finding bottoms. This was kind of like a premature bottom, but anyway, you could also always pair this with money flow. Like if you see this and your money flow is peaked out here, it's gotten really high, this is probably a good indicator. It's probably a good one to go by. On the flip side, if you see something like this, you're only seeing this so far, and money flow just went to green, well, it's probably not a good time to sell just yet, but you could take some profit if you wanted to. So there's a lot of ways to use this stuff. I mean, if any of this interests you, if you want me to get deeper into it, just leave a comment below. Tell me what you were most interested in, and I'll go into much more depth on any of it. But that's the basic idea. There's a lot of other things we could look at on here. I mean, I could go in here and there's a lot of different. One of my other favorites is if you look across here, it gives you both the bullish ones and the bearish ones. But these are oversold or overbought, and the coin is in an up or down trend. So this is really my favorite one. And I'll close with this. I'll show you this. Okay, this is a 1 hour, let's see. Yeah, 1 hour chart. So this is the bearish coins. These are the ones that have, well, that's a bad one because it doesn't have much market cap. So this one has seen a pretty good move up recently, and it could be finding a top. Momentum may be slowing down. So that would be one I'd put on my chart. It's not one I would just enter automatically. I would look at it on my chart first and see what the money flow is doing, that sort of thing. And these are coins that have gotten possibly close to their bottom. because they've seen a really big sell-off, so they're oversold. Nakamoto Games, that, I mean, that one right there, you can kind of see there's a support line there that's finding possibly. And I'll look at that one real quick just to finish off with that, to show another option. We'll take all these indicators off. We don't need any of them. And we'll look at Naka on KuCoin and just see what we see. So right off the bat, there's the 3-hour chart. There's a possible peak right there on your money flow, but it's not guaranteed. You can see that peak happened pretty much right at the top. It may find support here and turn back up. We'll just have to see. On your daily chart, that's really where you want to start. I mean, it's just now getting into the green on daily. It could just be going sideways. We don't know yet. There's no divergences to really use here. Although there was one here previously where this green dot connected to that one and then created a move up. I guarantee if you look at Engineering Robo, it gave you buy signals as well right there. And it broke through this resistance line. So that's a good thing for it. The only issue is you have to be concerned about that trend line right here. We don't know, it has to get above that to get more bullish, or it could just break down again. Yeah, it's giving you a signal right there on the daily, but we don't really like that because we want to see the thick money flow. Yeah, see, it gave you a sell signal on divergence for many indicators right at the top where this money flow is thick. So that's another thing to look at. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so that's enough of looking at those indicators. Those don't matter as much. But yeah, you got a nice bullish move out of this thing on the 3-hour as money flow moved up. I like money flow a lot. It's one of the most important to me. If you look at it on the hourly, oh, look at that. I mean, that's really telling, right? This is everything we were just talking about. Look how money flow was just bleeding out, and just now it's turned red. So this thing could have more of a correction still. I mean, I'd be looking at more of a short than a long play on this one currently. Is that what it was giving it? Oh, it was just telling us that was a big sell-off. So this was one of those that was oversold in an uptrend. So that basically means, or sorry, I said that completely wrong. This was overbought in an uptrend. So it was basically saying your RSI is getting way overheated. Momentum is going to start coming out of this thing soon. That's basically the message it's sending to you. And there is a lot of, there's a lot of support maybe right there. I think that's a really good line. So I think what's going to happen, and you got a little head and shoulders happening here as well. It may do something like this, but I think it's going to break down to there. So I think you're still looking at, even if it was to come up to here, you're looking at another 11% dip on it, in my opinion. I think there's a buy zone there somewhere. So if you get in here in like 23 cents, 24 cents, that might be a really good buy. So you have to think about these things, how they're going to react in the future. That's really the only way to make a lot of money at crypto. And I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just showing you some things that have worked for me in the past. I really don't do that many trades. I'm just too busy to focus on it. I think I could make a lot more if I did, but I have a real job and that sort of thing. Okay. Well, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you like it, hit the like thing. If there's anything that you want to see differently, or if you have a question on anything, just leave a comment. And again, shout out to Crypto Mentor 99. Talk to you all later.